Was that a signal to me or was that you?
No, it's not a signal to anybody. Welcome, everyone. It's 7 o'clock-ish. Jason Tucker is not here, but Bridget and Jen are here. Welcome to WPblab, where we talk about all things awesome, marketing, community, WordPress, tech, with our friends, your friends and mine. Don't forget to say hi to us in the chat channel. And Jen, tell us a little bit about where we can find you.
Okay, you can find me on LinkedIn or Twitter at JenBlogs4, the number 4U. JenBlogs for you.
Yes, and as everybody knows, I'm the marketing manager for the most robust online donation plugin. I bet if I said online donations, you would say give WP, and you'd be right. So, Jen, let's talk to our guest, Adam Silver.
All right, we've got a very special guest here tonight. He is not local to us anymore.
Oh, wah, wah, wah.
So sad, but he is or was the organizer for WordCamp Los Angeles. And so we have him on tonight to kind of talk a little bit about that and talk about the value of community. And that would be Adam Silver. Adam,
Hello.
tell me about yourself.
I am Adam Silver. It is true, I'm no longer in the Southern California area. I am now residing in North Carolina, just outside of Raleigh, a town called Cary, C-A-R-Y.
Hi, Ben UNC. Happy birthday.
And was Ben here? Does Ben live in Cary?
Yeah.
Oh, he does? I know, yeah. We've had lunch a few times. I was the lead organizer for WordCamp LA. That was this past weekend. It is 10 p.m. my time, about half hour past my bedtime. And I own and operate Concierge WP, and I podcast over at Kitchen Sink WP every week for the last 188 weeks in a row. And I have Get Options podcast with Kyle Maurer, another good friend of the community.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I do in a nutshell, stuff like that. All the WordPress stuff.
Well, great. Well, thanks for being on the show, Adam. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up is that you did a remote WordCamp because you weren't here anymore. So tell us a little bit about that. What was that like?
So I applied. I was the lead organizer in 2016, and I lived in Redondo Beach. And both of you were part of the team, as well. More of a quieter part of the team last year. But when I applied to be the lead again for the second year, because it's a 2-year, you can only do 2 years in a row from Foundation's perspective, I told the team early on, like probably January, that I might be moving. That as a family, we might be moving to the East Coast. We didn't know where exactly or when. And honestly, I did not think it was going to happen. I really didn't think it was going to happen. And then as the summer came, or spring came and summer came, it did happen, obviously, and it happened really fast. So for the past, since mid-August, I've been here. So it wasn't really the whole time. It wasn't like a remote lead organizer for across the country for 10 months. It was for the last 7 weeks, which of course is, I would say, a good 70% of the work.
Right.
It was interesting. So our standing call, we had a Google Hangout every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific. That actually became easier for me, being it was 4 o'clock for me. So everyone else was lunchtime for you guys, but for me, I was like, okay, it's 4 o'clock Monday. I can do this. It's not a big deal. I have a home office, But it was interesting for sure. Then I flew in last Thursday, so a week ago, picked everything up because, I had the connections as far as certain things in Southern California in the South Bay. So I picked up the shirts, the badges, the programs. It was a hectic Thursday, picked everything up, and then we got started Friday. But it was interesting, to say the least. I wouldn't say harder or easy. Well, maybe a little harder, just the distance, Bigger team, too, this year. So that was different. Herding cats.
Yep. But a great team of cats.
It was a good team. I mean, and I want to give full props out to everybody. I told the community when I told the attendees, if they were mad, it's me. If you're happy, it's the other 8 people. That's what I'm there for. So yourself, Jen, Bridget, Stephen Harvey, Thomas Levy, Renee Johnson, April Hewitt, Roy Savon, Rachel Cherry, and is that everybody?
That's everybody.
I think so. Okay, yeah, that's the 8 of you. Okay. So to them, mad props to everyone for doing what they said they would do. And we actually lost one. Jamie Curry had to step out, so that's what Rachel Cherry stepped in late for. It got done. Was it perfect? No, but we're all volunteers, so you know.
Well, and it was a great camp. People really enjoyed themselves, had wonderful things to say. I don't know if you've been getting a lot of feedback this week or not, but I've gotten some.
Yeah, Twitter, on Twitter, all the thank yous at the end of the camp, the photos that go on social. I waited till I got back I got back Monday afternoon. I didn't look at anything until about Tuesday. It was very heartfelt, and I appreciate the kind words everyone had. And I think, not that it might have been a stronger camp for presentations. That was another issue. We had no dropouts last year, 2016. We had 3 or 4 this year, which we replaced, with some backup speakers, including yourself and Amber. That was awesome. So yeah, it happens. So.
Yeah. Well, and you had a wide variety as far as community is concerned of speakers, from old to young. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm not sure who the oldest was. Could have been you, for all I know. No, I'm kidding. There's a bus. I'm not sure, honestly, who the oldest speaker was. Not that it wasn't like, I don't think we had anybody in their 80s or 90s. It wasn't like,
I know there were speakers older than me there, just saying.
Yes. The youngest was
Jansen.
Hensel, yeah. So Jansen was there. He's 11, and he knocked it out of the park. He was at camp, like I mentioned, before he started. 4 years ago when he was 7, he came to a beginner day. The whole track, where I was a part of that, Greg Franklin, myself, we had a whole track of one day, about 100 people in that room versus 65 or 70 this year. And 4 years later, he's speaking, and he did a really good job. I mean, for very interesting, for an 11-year-old kid, homeschooled, very focused, very, a little standard 11-year-old, but on stage, he just was on point. He was rehearsed. He was
better than some adults.
He was. Yeah. He was very well rehearsed. I mean, he had it down. He had his content down.
And his slides had great contrast.
Right. Yeah. He was funny. And I think obviously there was a lot to be said about the fact that he's 11. That gave him right at the bat 50%, of acceptance. But the rest, he earned the rest. He really did.
I mean, I saw some of the videos because I was in Glenn Zuckman's class for WordPress for Writers, and I was pretty impressed. He had better delivery than most of our speakers. Yeah. So
So
I don't think it's all because he's in 6th grade or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. I think, but that doesn't hurt. He's adorable. One aspect.
And you could read his slides, and I would like. I know this is about community, but come on, people.
That is community.
12-point font.
Yeah. I mean, he has a lot. I mean, I think he can only get better over time.
Right.
He's going to become smarter than all. He's probably smarter than us at this point now than we were at 11, for sure.
Well, speak for yourself.
Okay.
So anyway, this episode is about WordCamps and building community. So the WordCamp is supposed to be a celebration of the local community, but sometimes because people don't know about meetups, you end up building community after the WordCamp in addition to before. Do you think you could talk a little bit about the flavor? I noticed that the flavor was a little different this year. There was a lot of new people, a lot of second career folks, a lot more women. Can you talk about the demographics of this year's camp?
Well, I don't know. Okay, so I didn't notice the breakdown of attendees. Are you talking about the breakdown of demographics on speakers or of attendees?
We're talking about the camp as a whole.
So I haven't looked at stats yet. I mean, I have a whole list of stuff I still
need. But you have eyeballs.
Yeah. My first thing, I've always noticed that WordCamps always tend to attract beginner, intermediate people, first and foremost. It's always going to be heavier of that level. You get to a point in WordCamps and people move on. They go to other conferences, WooConf, Pressnomics, Loop, Prestige, etc. It happens. It's kind of the path. WordCamps are the weekend, or in our case, we had a 3-day camp. We had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this year. We sold out, which is great. We got rid of all of our swag, which is also great. I don't know. I mean, if you say that there were more women in your opinion, then that's awesome. That just attended, fantastic. We also had more women. We doubled the size of the organizing team with more women as well. I mean, there was 5 white guys last year. This time we had less. No, we had the same amount of guys. Maybe 4, and more women, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know, 5 men maybe, and 4 women. We had 9.
I'm pretty sure that was a conscious decision on your part, because you actually were asking me, do you know any women who want?
Yeah, I did. It was important to me. I didn't want to hear from community or from foundation, if you will. I didn't want to say like, how come the team is just 5 guys? You know, I'm completely open. I've always been said this. I'm transparent about it. I want balance and opinions and voice, but it's a job, you know. So people don't want to commit, and I get that. So I'm not gonna threaten people. You have to do it, Jen. You know, if you didn't want to do it, you don't have to do it. You know. So as far as the camp goes and the community, yeah, you know, it's interesting. I've been doing this for a long. I've been part of the camp, the WordPress community for a while, and this year is not as shocking to me as last year was. Last year, I'm like, wow, that actually happened. This year's like, okay, I can do this again, and you know, take a year off and maybe do it here in Raleigh, help out some capacity. So, but as far as the question goes, WordPress and WordCamps do thrive on community. They really do. As you guys know, I had a closing remarks. I think I expressed that pretty well. I thought I don't know. I've heard some stuff on that. You asked about, you know, people asking earlier how it was. So. Yeah, I don't know. If my eyeballs, I think you're right. If I have to think about it, there were probably more women this year than there have been in the past. Yeah.
There was a line in the bathroom.
Oh, there you go. That's impressive.
Oh, there you
I
go.
would say it was about 40% women.
Okay. Yeah, I also noticed there were a lot less people in the quote hallway track, like out in the vendor, which made me so happy. You know, Greg Franklin said he's early on Saturday. He's like, it seems smaller, and I'm like, huh. So I went to check the rooms. The rooms were all full.
The rooms were full.
Which made me really happy that we picked good talks and people went.
Right.
I was I was very happy with that.
And I think part of that mix was because we had that beginner day.
Mm-hmm.
So we had people from all walks of life, all cultures. Like, it was a very diverse camp. Do you have anything you can say about that? Did you notice that?
I mean, I did notice it. It was also, I mean, yeah, I think I did notice it, but just it's still sinking in. It's only been in my mind. It's like I just was there like a couple days ago,
right?
So, you know, and I'm still paying the bills, so, you know, and answering emails and stuff. And we got an email late. It's like, is it too late to get a ticket on Monday? I'm like, maybe. So
watch online.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Actually, someone else asked when are the videos gonna be ready. I'm like, it just ended. So, yeah, the diversity wise, again, I will defer to your views, because you guys were in the sessions more than I was. I was more just kind of watching from a top level and making sure things were okay, you know. It
seemed more LA to me. Like, it seemed like there were people that I hadn't seen in other camps. Not just I've been to LA before, you know, but it wasn't the same crowd. There was definitely a new element and more of, even I might even say, international aspect to it. Bridget, did you notice that?
I noticed that. Not only that, but I also noticed there were. I mean, last year there were people I didn't know, but there were definitely more people this year who I didn't know or didn't know me either. Not to say that I'm a bigwig, but it happens. You go to enough camps and people, you find the same people, your core group of people that know you. There were a lot more people who didn't, and then all the people who had heard about me through Kitchen Sink, through the podcast, and wanted to meet me, which was flattering. So, yeah, it was interesting for sure. I make a point of meeting people who I don't recognize, walking up, make sure people say, how's the camp going for you? How's the camp going for you? It's not about me. It's about your experience at the camp, not me as the lead at all. You know,
right,
so
right.
That's my approach last year and this year. That's how I think every lead should be. And I don't know if that happens. I really don't know. I think some leads have, I don't know, I can't speak for the lead organizers. I didn't become lead in 2016 or 2017 with an agenda in mind. My only goal was to have a good camp that people would enjoy and learn and make friends. Plain and simple. I had no other agenda. But just, you know, it didn't cross my mind that I could, you know. So I think, you know, my wife's like, why are you doing this? Because I go, because I want to, and I don't want it to die. I want to keep going. So
you're doing it next year then, right?
I can't. If I was still in Southern California, I would have been a lead for a third year in a row, but not LA. I wanted to start a one-day camp in the South Bay in Torrance. I'd actually started the application, but then once we knew we were moving, I just deleted that. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What else you got?
So, let's see. I had a question, Bridget. Oh, swag. So you had a theme for this year's camp.
We did.
You had a lot of swag that went with it. Tell us a little bit about that and
So
how it was.
the theme was automotive. There's the keychain, which I don't have one. So
I
Stephen
love the
Harvey
keychains. So
Harvey
fun.
spent $7 to mail me one because I didn't forget to take one or two. I usually take a whole bunch. So all the swag went. So we were an automotive theme because it's, LA is, car country kind of thing, right? It's very LA based, LA theme-ish. Amber did the graphic as a emblem, which I thought was awesome. I really liked it a lot. And we also did air fresheners, which people thought apparently, which we actually have like 300 left. People thought they would leak because they would peel off the back, and they wouldn't leak. It was just a thing that would then emanate, that let you have the air freshening scent. And some people thought they were Jello shots.
Okay, then that's a different kind of community.
Yeah. It's a friendly community.
So speaking of community and Jello shots, that kind of leads us into the after party.
Definitely.
It was a little bit different flavor than LA's had it in the past. So tell us a little bit about that.
So luckily, we didn't want to do it where we did it last year. The after parties, speaker sponsored dinners, after parties are always a tough place. You want to have a place where it's comfortable, people can talk, it's affordable, has food, that kind of thing. So we did the speaker sponsor volunteer dinner at Angel City Brewery like we did last year. The space works, it's affordable. We brought in great barbecue, but
from LA.
He's actually moving to Austin, Bart's Barbecue. But it's loud, very loud in that space. So I learned from last year that I cannot, I just don't even try to, make any big statements. This year, we didn't want to have it there at all. We were thinking further east, just a little bit more low key. And it worked out to where we actually had it at the venue at Cal State LA, downstairs in the Student Union Plaza. And pros and cons. The pros are it's right there. You're already there. The con is more people may show up, so you might have to spend more money on food, on the finger foods. But actually, it worked out really well. Really well. So it wasn't loud. We had music for an hour and a half because they had to shut off at 6:30 or something like that. We had a photo booth, but I know that people really enjoyed having it right there. And that actually made it so much easier.
Well, and the other thing was there was a lot of discussion that occurred because there wasn't music. You didn't have to yell. And the speakers had their voices on Sunday.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we looked at some other spaces. Rachel Cherry was trying to lead that up, and she came in like after running her Word Campus, so she jumped in best she could. And we had some ideas late in the game as far as maybe at a bowling alley, but again, we decided it worked. It was affordable. It was in our budget, but she did awesome. She went to campus because working with higher ed, she knows, she did it for so long. It's a pain in the butt. There was like the venue. We had to deal with catering, which was the same venue that we had for camp. So they did the food for us, but we had to give monies and get everything permitted through a different group, the student union, standard fare with anything kind of state, federal, higher ed kind of thing. And we wanted to have cars. We wanted to actually bring in some classic cars as backgrounds and props, but that was a whole other fiasco. So that didn't happen. It would have been really cool, but
it was cool as it was, though, and I think a lot of people appreciated it, and that we had better attendance maybe on Sunday simply because people didn't stay out too late.
Right, and everyone who attended, people may not know this, if you stayed till the end, we paid your car insurance for the next year. So.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, so
I was like, what? Gotcha.
So let's talk about Sunday a little bit. You started the camp earlier than I think most people were expecting, and personal reasons for that.
We start the camp the same time, Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. Other camps start later because they go out karaoke. Well, that's fine. If you're, I'm not gonna say any cities, or any counties. No, it's totally fine.
There's WC karaoke happens after every camp. Hashtag WC karaoke.
But I think Orange County kind of started that kind of thing. That was like their thing.
Yeah.
But,
but it's at the after party. It's not the after party.
Right. True. But in LA, it's so big, people usually, because we have it somewhere else. So if you have the after party on Saturday somewhere else, you have a drop off right away. And then you also have, no matter what, so you have, let's back up. You typically have a 20% no-show rate for camp, even for Saturday, which we did, which is annoying because if you bought a ticket and you're not going to go, we have people who wanted tickets. It's kind of frustrating. So on Sunday, you get another drop off because it's Sunday. But I think we did a really good job. Thomas did a great job with putting strong talks on Sunday. Not that they're all not strong, but we actually put some of their names that draw people back. And there was even that this year at OC, wasn't there? I wouldn't know. I wasn't at OC, but wasn't there?
At OC, we had a badge exchange program.
Oh, right. There was that, but there was also.
And we also did a Sunday social too.
Right, and there was also a thing. Wasn't there a thing where it's like a hashtag do both, come to both days?
Right. Hashtag both days.
Right.
So in Orange County, it's the summer, right? And in LA, it's in the fall. And you have some things working against you for Sundays, which is why a lot of camps, Raquel was saying they're going to do Friday, Saturday for Phoenix next year. But you have 3 things going against you for Sunday. You got church. No matter how much you want to say, people in WordPress don't go to church, there's enough of them that won't skip. Number 2, you have I stayed up way too dang late at the after party. And number 3, football season. There were people watching the game in the happiness bar and during sessions.
They had headphones on.
Football people.
Volume off.
I'm just saying they're football people.
Right. So here's the thing.
That's a problem.
I totally get the church. I know that's a fact. And I also think before, even if it's not football or church, a lot of camps start late on a Sunday because it helps them reduce cost of venue and food. And truth be told, I didn't do a full day Friday. I picked the Friday. I'm like, we're doing a beginner day again this year. I wanted the beginner track, but I didn't want to do a full day because I wanted to save. I didn't want to feed people. I'm sorry, but I don't have so much budget. I don't have unlimited funds. And it's not my money. I'm a steward of the money. I'm the steward of the camp. Again, so it's a choice. We were lucky. We got to go in at 7 a.m. It was supposed to be, it starts at 8 o'clock. We got to prep early, get in there. We did get food in the morning, some bagels, donuts and stuff. And we had it till 1 p.m., which was plenty. And then people had a break. So then we had to go downtown at, 5:30, but 6 o'clock, whatever it was. So yeah, the Sunday, I just decided I want to do the full day, 2 full days. 3 days is tough. In the past, 4 years ago, when we did Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was a Friday. It was all day though. It was different tracks. It was beginner track, design track, business track specifically. And then Saturday was a normal talks. Probably I think 2 tracks, like in 2 different rooms going on at once. And Sunday was contributor day at a co-working space. Natalie McLeese had set all that up. She was in charge of that back then. It was awesome. But it's a long weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, people left, though, I think, feeling like they wanted to keep that feeling going. They were so excited. And so how do you do that? How do you leave a WordCamp and bring that feeling back to your individual meetups that are smaller groups and keep the momentum?
I think, standard answer, it depends. You have to reach out and engage. If you are not in a meetup, you got to join one. If you run a meetup, you have to make sure that people know about your meetup and that you are engaging. You have some conversations. And you maybe review something or even do. So when I ran the South Bay WordPress meetup, I would do 2 to 3 times a year, at least once in the summer, a community day. I used to call it like a developer day, but that freaked people out. It was a community day. It was on a Saturday versus my typical third Thursday. People would come open house style, come in from 10 a.m., stay till 2 or 2:30 p.m. Get help, give help, eat. We'd have, people would come bring stuff to share, a little potluck. And we'd have a sponsor as well. Maybe they might pay for pizzas or Chinese food, whatever it was. So if you can do that kind of thing, if you can somehow really make it comfortable for people to have a conversation at all levels, right? Not feel intimidated. That's the key. I actually wrote about this, if I'm not mistaken, what year? So we're in 2017 now. So I think I've done it twice. So 2014, 2015 for sure. My WordCamp manifesto. It's over on Kitchen Sink WP somewhere. So where I wrote my feeling, like, how do I keep this going? How do we, so I remember I wrote this piece because my podcast, I would normally record it, but I can't record those pieces without getting verklempt. And I remember writing it all out, and I sent it to Alex Vasquez. I said, should I share this? He's like, you got to hit publish right now. Don't even overthink it. So I did. So I did 2, maybe 3. So, and in that same kind of thing, it's like, this is what I love about what we do. And it saddens me on one aspect here. that I believe there are probably as many, if not more, companies that the ones we do know about, you know, Zeek, 10up, Web Dev, all the bigger ones, we know them. There are probably 5 times more, if not 10 times more, companies that have nothing to do with community. It's just they run a business and they use WordPress as a service, as a tool, and that's fine. That's their choice. But I feel like I'm a better person for the way I've approached it. I like to believe that.
So I'm going to bring the churchness in because that's what I know. Okay.
Amen.
Well, I mean, community building is community building. The topic doesn't make any difference, right? Okay. So in the church life, which is community building, they have these things a lot of times called crusades. Like the Harvest Crusade is pretty famous in Orange County. Goes up Angel Stadium, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And so they have follow-up with these people, and there's churches that participate in the receiving of the follow-up. So they get these cards, people want to go, they're super excited. Then the churches follow up with them. It's just funny to me after I read, it never occurred to me until I just read Kevin Hoffman's question. He said, in Pittsburgh, we didn't see much of a boost in meetup attendance following WordCamp. Any tips on leveraging that? And it just occurred to me, like in church life, that's a no duh thing. But we didn't really do anything. It says, hey, who lives in downtown LA? There's a downtown LA meetup. Who lives in Woodland Hills? There's a Woodland Hills meetup. Like, I don't think we did very much. And I'll take a lot of credit for this too, because people were asking me and I would tell them individually, oh, you live in Pasadena, go to this one. Oh, you live in Studio City, go to this one. But I don't think we we didn't make a big deal about the other meetups that are available in their area.
I did.
And now that I didn't hear that ever.
Open remarks, I mentioned the meetups.
Okay. But
you can go to one almost every night of the week in Southern California.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. And now I'm just thinking about this live.
Yeah.
If we still have access to the website, I wonder if we should do a post, Jen.
Yeah.
Like,
ooh, I can do a follow-up post.
A follow-up post, like you should be going to these meetups or whatever. But so that's like, so Kevin's asking in Pittsburgh, it didn't go backwards. Like it didn't go like, this is so awesome, I'm going to go to the meetups. Like, I wonder what some of the ideas are that we could do to boost. I saw the opposite. I saw a bunch of new people that started coming to the Orange County meetups, for example, because of the meetups being in 4.8.
Right.
And they started coming to WordCamp, and then we got to know each other a little bit better, specifically Josh and Tori from Orange County Developer Meetup. And so, like, I felt like, oh my gosh, when I go to the meetup, we're going to know them better. I'm like, you should come to dinner with us before. But I wonder if there's something we could do a little bit better, community-wise, even, not just LA, but.
So I think community-wise, but I think if you could break it down just to camp, let's say our camp or LA, you know, realistically, it's not over in a sense. It's only Thursday. You know, it hasn't been a full week. So traditionally, there's the survey that goes out. You know, there's a blog post that comes out from the lead. There's photos that get shared on the website, you know, from the photo booth, which I have yet. It's all my queue for this week. You know, my plan is to get most of that stuff done by Monday. You know, if you go too soon, it's too soon.
No, right. But it didn't even occur to me until Kevin asked that question.
It's a good question, you know, but I think that would be a part of, you know, and Jen and I talked yesterday, the day before, about added content to the blog as well, because we also have, there was a woman there who was a reporter. We had some press. We had 2 press pass requests, which I granted for media. One guy didn't show, one woman did. And she interviewed me and Stephen Harvey. And we reached back out to her because we gave her the pass with the intention that she would write an article and then get it out there, and then we would share it as well. You know, so I will harp on her to some extent. It's only been, again, you know, it's been what, Monday, it's been 4 days. I'll reach out to her again by next Tuesday or Wednesday, or have Stephen do it. Say, hey, where's the article? You know,
it wasn't meant to be an indictment.
No, not at all. It's a good idea.
Okay. I just want to make sure, like. Great idea. But you know, to me, I never thought about it.
Yeah.
Like making it more of a call to action at the end of the class.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
If you really like this API talk, are you going to the developer meetup in Pasadena?
Right. Yeah. So that then, you know, what we do, we just throw the speakers under the bus. It's their fault. They should have mentioned it.
I mentioned, I didn't mention meetups, but I mentioned the community and the Los Angeles community in specific, you know, to reach out to those around you, because we were all there to support you. I did say that in my talk.
Right.
So
And
I got close.
you also mentioned something about Jimmy Carter and peanuts. I'll just stop,
Yeah,
I'll stop right
just
there.
stop right there, please. Yeah. All right. So, okay. So speaking of speakers, let's go back to that. You had an advanced development workshop.
Yes.
With 3 speakers. Tell us a little bit about how that went and how you reached that part of the community.
So again, it goes back to the fact that, you go to enough camps, as a beginner, it's overwhelming. And I've written about this, I've spoken about this. When you first start off, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much information. Which rooms do I go to? I don't know anybody. And eventually you do 3 or 4 camps over 2 or 3 years. If you're normal, you do 2 camps a year. If you're not so normal, you go to 10 or 12 or whatever it may be. So I noticed that a lot of advanced developers get the short end of the stick because you can't dive deep in a 40-minute talk or 45-minute talk plus 10 minutes Q&A. So they come away with, if people are jamming through a session about something, even an API or whatever it may be, it's just not enough. So last year, I decided as lead that I wanted to have a workshop specifically for those people really advanced. 90 minutes, 3 talks, 2 before lunch, 1 after. So I reached out to those speakers were invited by me. And I asked some of my other advanced developer friends what would be good topics, and I found people who could do those last year. Last year was Nathan Tyler, Ben Cool, and Andrew Norcross, and some big names. I mean, those are great developers. And they all came out in their own nickel. I mean, Ben came from Michigan, Andrew from Florida, and Nathan is local. This year, same thing. I wanted to repeat it, so we had 3 talks. Sean Hooper had to skip it. I had a personal conflict. So we had Konstantin Oberlin stepped up for his. He did the Gutenberg talk.
Oh, I should have been in that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have been in that one.
So we got that at the after party, though. He talked a little bit about.
Yeah.
He continued the conversation.
And then so the first talk was what's his name?
Scott Stewart.
Scott Stewart from San Diego. Yeah, that's right. So he did that, and we were a little concerned. I mean, that was scary because he goes in and Roy did the little opening remarks. There was like 3 people there. Like, because an advanced talk is that. It's you're looking for an advanced are they there? Are they receptive to that talk? Turned out they were. They were just late.
That's awesome.
And then we also had and it was really important to me. I reached out to like 3 or 4 women. She was based on their talk because she actually submitted to speak. She did submit to speak in a normal way in the normal application. I pulled her talk out and I called her to say, hey, can you make this 90 minutes? We want to give you a workshop. We want people. She was like, yeah. She was pleasantly surprised. She's like, yeah, I can. I'm like, sweet. I wanted to have women represented as a developer. Women. Natalie could have done it, but Natalie didn't. So people get busy. So, but Erica was awesome, and her room was full too. So all 3 of the advanced talks. So I feel like my contribution, my mark on 2016, 2017 was that track, that curated, pulled out track. Beginner Day, that was this year. That's something I was a part of. I've always been a part of in the past. So it was good. I know it was also well received. But then, of course, I guarantee you, we'll get somebody who gives us the survey response saying there weren't enough advanced talks. What happened last year, and there's also other advanced talks that are shorter versions, just not 90 minutes. But last year we had people saying there weren't enough advanced talks. There weren't enough beginner talks. Like, you can't please. It's like they just might not have seen it. They didn't know. I don't know. Can't please everybody.
Right. They may have only come Sunday.
Right. So, I mean.
Or Friday.
Right. Yeah. So, and people actually, I got a couple emails saying, well, I want to come to Beginner Day. They did register. That was a little fiasco. We had a little hiccup there. It worked out. But is it too beginner? Or should I not? I said, you know what? You can always learn something, even as a beginner. There's going to be something there's at least if you pick up one nugget, it's worth coming and spending the 4 or 5 hours, I think. So I don't know if that guy came or not. I'm not sure. Yeah, I have the whole list of stuff next to me. I still got to go through.
There were a lot of people there. I think you oversold the camp a little.
So the camp itself or the Beginner Day?
Both.
No, we were fine on overall camp. Beginner Day hiccup was missing a checkbox when you went to buy a ticket. Do you want to come to Beginner Day? So we realized it like a day or 2 or 3 later. So we fixed it by adding a form. People sign up for Beginner Day. But some people who already bought tickets didn't see that, 2-3 days later when they start buying tickets. So they didn't register separately. And then we wanted to cap it at about 50 because, again, we had a certain amount of space and tables and chairs and for that day, and keep it a little bit more intimate. I didn't want to have 125 people in there. necessarily. So the end of the, it worked out. The end of this, and the form was up for way too long. Also, people kept signing up. So we were oversold from the get-go overbooked technically by about 10. But then again, 10-15% people won't show. And then of course you can get 10% of people who show up who didn't know they needed to register. So we were, long story short, too late. We were probably at 70. If you showed up, you got in. And if you came late, you didn't get a seat. Sorry.
Yeah.
People were late.
That was my first time being part of any beginner day. But I was really impressed as a teacher. I mean, that's where my student loan is for. That the whole curriculum went together. And you could see, because the curriculum was so together, I could glance around the room and see that the laptops were all the same screen.
Yeah.
Or about 75% most of the time.
And it's fortunate that, the people involved have, I mean, it's your first time involved in that, but Greg Franklin is a pro at it. Greg and I have done it like 3 or 4 times together. We did it in Maui, OC, LA, and San Diego. So we've done it. So Greg knows how to do that, as well. Roy led because he joined the team late. He's like, I want to help. I'm like, okay. I knew Greg was busy with Sacramento leading that day, so I didn't task him for it or ask him. But I knew he'd be a part of it. So Roy helped set that up, and they had a Google Doc and an outline and stuff,
Well, and Roy brought in Pantheon.
Yeah.
And did all those installs. That was amazing.
Right. And I'll be honest. So Pantheon was great, and Dwayne's awesome. And some people said, well, is Pantheon the right host for this? They go, in this case, yes, we knew this was an issue or a concern because Pantheon is a developer-centric or it's a high-end host. Is it beginner-friendly? I don't know. I've never really used Pantheon. But if someone wants to send me an account, no, I'm kidding. They were awesome. They just made it like, we're just a server. We're not going to try to, we're not saying we're advanced tools and stuff. We're just a host for this. It worked out well. So.
Right. And I learned something just from that experience, and that's that anyone can have a free Pantheon account. So you can go on and learn to use their system, even you, Adam. And
thank you.
It won't cost you anything. It's just you have to pay once you are ready to launch.
Right.
So all of those people have that install,
if they want to use it,
forever.
And then what's also interesting is Dwayne is really good at karaoke.
That's true.
I know this from Pressnomics.
But he did not do that on the stage.
Yes, it's correct.
At beginner day.
Right. So anyway, it was good. I mean, it's one of those things, having an additional, luckily, so we only had 2 speakers. So how many presenters were there at beginner? There was 1, 2, so it's Greg, Bridget, Jen, Dwayne,
Christina
Hills,
Rachel,
so 6, right?
Josh
7. So 7. Only 2 were not on the organizing team. Christina and Greg.
Right. Well, so we're giving back.
Dwayne spoke too.
Oh, so. Dwayne spoke as well. Dwayne spoke twice. So, but it worked out in that sense because that actually was helpful as far as just extra speakers or just balancing things out. So it was good. So it caused a little confusion up front because Renee was like, "Well, do we need volunteers there?" I'm like, "No, we are there."
Yeah, we're the volunteers.
The orgs will be there because all the orgs are also the speakers that day by chance. So, you guys have your trophies? You have your speaker?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I didn't really understand why I got it.
You spoke.
They were like, why don't I go, yeah, it was beginner day. I was just teaching Twitter. It was 15 minutes.
But you spoke.
They're like, embrace your whatever. I love teaching. And every time I get to teach, I remember why I spent my student loan to teach. Yeah. I just didn't like parents. So it's cool that I still get to use that skill that I have. And I really enjoy that moment when people's face, when you can see it on their face when they get it. That's like the best high ever.
You guys, I teach. I've taught WordPress, essentials for 3 or 4 years at the adult school. I've taught online now. I love it. I like it. Probably, I don't know how to. I do client work, and I teach. And I teach also through the podcast. Client work is interesting. It's a means to an end. It's not. I like it as well. I don't want to ever stop 100% necessarily because I think it keeps me connected to what I'm teaching. For sure. But it's also subjective and creative. That's that part. If I just teach you here are the steps to do something, this is my interpretation of how to do it. There's probably another way to do the same thing, but there's less criticism, I think. So, here you go. Here's the lesson. Here I teach you to fish. You go feed yourself. Versus me developing or designing a site or a service that you get feedback on. Oh, 10,000 hours later they don't want it and they want their money back. Sorry, it's not how it works. Still split the time. So it's but yeah, teaching is one of my favorite things.
Well, and one of the things when you're teaching is that you get the questions, right?
Yeah.
And so you get feedback immediately, but also you learn a little about your subject as you have to think differently than maybe you were thinking
because
originally.
If I'm teaching you, something about setting up, e-commerce, is it digital download? Is it physical product, drop ship, shipping? And then Rachel or somebody else may have something. They do e-commerce as well, but it's not they're doing more affiliate. You just never know. There's that variable.
Right.
That's the coolest thing about it. So
well, and that's part of what's so great about WordCamps is that those conversations happen.
Yeah.
And everybody interjects. Oh, well, I've tried this. Have you tried this? No.
Right.
And so even not from the stage, just in
right.
general, that community helps. We're talking together and learning together.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm the first to admit when I used to lead the meetup, I would lead it in a sense of it was open Q&A. I would ask for questions, take 4 or 5 or 6 questions, put them on a text edit document, and answer them best I could as the lead. And then if I didn't know, I would then say, who has an answer here? If it was above my pay grade for developer-centric stuff, I would ask Greg Franklin or Various or whoever else is in the room. If we didn't know, I'd say, well, I don't know. I'll look up for you, and I'll answer you, through our Facebook group or something. So, yeah, I like the challenge. Yeah.
So now that you're on the East Coast, how are you keeping up those relationships in your meetup group?
So, So how am I keeping them up, or how am I creating new ones?
All of it.
Okay. So there is a co-working space that I went to yesterday for the first time. It's free because it's the building is owned by the town of Cary. It's called Co-Founders Capital. There's a group there that they manage it and they help invest in companies and startups. And I guess I'm still a startup for concierge technically, but I'm small potatoes, so they're not going to invest in me. But there might be an opportunity where they have they'll have a core. They'll have services, other people who help. There's a lawyer, there's a copywriter, there's banker, finance and stuff. So I might become the WordPress person in the community of that space. I'll find out more in a week or so. As far as meetups go, the meetup in Raleigh it happens. Ben has told me that it's just not consistent. So I'm trying to help them I would love to help out and do more with them. Or if I need to start my own, I'll start my own in Cary. No, I mean, I say that jokingly, but at the same token, I don't want to step on toes, but I need that. It energizes me as well. So, yeah.
And what about the people you left behind?
Yeah.
Oh,
the people you left behind.
Oh, them.
What do we chop liver?
So the one that I have through Meetup, the website. Peter Rashkin has taken on the duty of leading for the moment. He's doing what he can. He's trying to find a better venue. He used the Carson Library, but the hours it's 5:30 to 7:30. It's too early. So I just reached out this morning actually to another co-working space in Torrance, who I know the owner, to see if they can have it there. Because he called and he was told it was like $150 an hour. Yeah. If I made the reach out, it should be free, ideally. So he'll hopefully be able to have it there. And
so you're still contributing.
Oh yeah,
community.
And until the time comes, until the next bill comes from Meetup, yeah, I'll still help them out with it the best I can. Yeah, in the Facebook group, of course, it's not that tough. Yeah, I just can't go to the meetings. So so they had their first one 2 weeks ago tonight. So the week before WordCamp, they had one, and actually Stephen Harvey FaceTimed me, brought me in live. So.
Aw,
so sweet.
Yeah. So a little smaller turnout, different venue, different, but still nice.
Time, yeah. But it's still continuing.
It is for now. Yeah, I hope it does. That's the thing. It's it's that my meetup had 350 members, 30 or 40 were pretty active. The other people just joined because it's free. Yeah, for now. And if I need to transfer ownership to it eventually, I will. I don't need I don't have a God complex like, it has to be mine past a certain point. So.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
great. Well, we run a meetup, you know, our
Yeah.
WP meetup. And so we actually kind of, like you were saying, transferred ownership or whatever. We still have our meetup page just because it gives one more way for people to find us. But we host all of our meetups on the official page for Orange County. So that way we're one of their events.
Right.
And it's really helped, I think, to grow our community because, as Bridget was mentioning earlier, with 4.8, now it's in the dashboard. So people get reminders of our events. But also we, you know, that whole community feeds off of one another. So we've got the design meetup, the business meetup, the
general and developer.
Exactly. Well, you used to come to them, so you know. And I really think that it thrives because there's the interweaving of the different meetups there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
I mean, I thought about starting a secondary one under mine at one point, but it's just a matter of the space. You know, you need a venue. I mean, Steve Zanket has been so gracious to have it at his space for the most part, you know, at his office when he was at the warehouse and then now the office building. I was lucky to have mine at the venue for free also. I mean, the first two or three that I had were not free. I had to pay. It was at Coco's, which is now gone. And now they tore it down. It's now becoming, you know, another shopping center or something. It was either a minimum buy or a fee. So people did buy food. And I remember the last time I had there, they said it's going to be $120. It's going to be $95. You know, it's $100 minimum or whatever it was. So I said, so if I buy a pie, if I spend $7, I'm good. He goes, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll spend $7. So is it that or give him 100? I'm like, well, that seems silly because we're that close, right? That threshold. So I'm like, and he didn't quite get, the waiter was like, what? So I said, send the manager in. So his manager was like, yeah, it's either this or that. I'm like, okay, so how close am I? It's like $7. I go, I'll take a pie home. It's like, okay. And problem solved. We spent $100, you know? So.
Well, we meet at Mimi's cafe, same kind of deal, except for we don't have any minimums. We just let people order and then whatever people order, you know, but we have like 27 people that are showing up to our meetup. So
the key, people always say,
no problem with minimums.
I get asked a lot, what's the key to having people show up at meetups? I say, you got to feed them. You got to eat before or during. And I know Steve does his drinking during and after, you know, but we always had food at mine. We always had we had it catered, or we did pizzas for like the first year and a half. It was just easy. And I paid for them, or people would donate because we were at a nonprofit. So people would donate. It would pay for some of the pizza. Money would go back to the space as a thank you. So we contributed probably $300-400 over the years back to Mike's building place. But eventually we got burned out of pizza, and Greg Franklin and I would always just talk like a week or two before, like, what should we do this time? We did taco bar, we've done soup and salad, we did panini sandwiches once, we did Chinese food. During the holidays, we'll do holiday fare. We've done corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day month for March. We do a lot of theme stuff.
So you keep it fun. Got
to keep it fun, interesting, and people show up. You know, they know that instead of just having pizza gets really boring really fast.
Right.
You know, so community's good. Yeah, I mean, I do honestly. One of my biggest not regrets. I mean, the thing I feel like I'm bummed. I mean, I spent 3.5-4 years leading South Bay, and it's a bummer. You know, and Stephen Harvey would have taken it over, but he moved to Pasadena. So yeah, it's not viable. So that's, we'll see. Hopefully it stays going. I mean, I know people want to keep it going, so I'm hopeful that it'll keep going without me.
Well, and we had somebody at the WordCamp. We had a couple of requests, but one who's very anxious, Victoria, she really wants to start a meetup in Studio City, a woman who WP. And so we were kind of matching her up with Scott Buscemi because that's kind of close. Because he does the downtown meetup, or, you know, at least he can get her in touch with the people that she needs to be,
right,
figure out what they're going to do. But I think the more of these that happen, the closer that grouping becomes. You know, you have a meetup next to a meetup, and suddenly, you know, it's one bigger.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about overlap or the timing. You can't please everybody as far as when and where in the subject. So, you know, it's up to you if you want to run it. And I remember when I started mine, my reasoning was there wasn't one in the South Bay. The closest was OC, and then downtown, when Natalie and Noel used to run it. And it was a huge, like 1,100 to 1,200 people. It was pretty active, and like 60, 70 people would go to them. And I had the time. I was self-employed or underemployed or not employed, so I could go. But then, you know, it changed where I had a different job for a while, and I just didn't want to deal with it. You know, commuting 20 miles could be, you know, 90 minutes, right?
Right.
So I kind of talked to Natalie and said, hey, do you mind if I start one now? She's like, no, go ahead. You can. So I did. And I've been paying for it out of pocket ever since. Now Foundation will fund them if you want them, which is a whole separate conversation.
Right.
So
Right.
anyway, yeah. Yeah, they're great. I like them a lot.
And I think it's because there's such a mix of all the meetups, you know, all of that contributes to who comes to WordCamp Los Angeles. Because what was attendance? Was it 405?
411, I think, actually, technically.
Okay.
I had to add some tickets because of the whole beginner day fiasco.
Right.
We had 15 people who were signed up for beginner day but didn't buy a ticket. So I reached out to them, and 6 or 7 said yes, they still want to come. So I created 6 more tickets. So, poof, there's 6 more tickets. It worked. It was fine.
Well, and another thing that I noticed this year that was a big difference from last year was there weren't as many meals left over.
Oh, well, that was
impressive.
Thank you. Well, that was me in the sense that it worked out last year in the benefit of my family. We had tons of leftovers that went back to Redondo Beach. My kids, it was great, but it's also wasteful of monies. So this year, even though we sold the 400 tickets, and actually a little bit more, I told Cal State LA that we needed $375 for meals. And they were okay with that. And it wasn't, you know, they didn't, you know, because it was still, the venue has been free for 4 years, free in air quotes. You got to use their food, their catering, their food, their AV. So it's still not a cheap production. I just paid for it today, actually. Half of it on my credit card. I get points. So this year, yeah, $375 meals. Because I figured, once again, not everyone eats the food. And people do leave for lunch. People don't eat lunch. So it worked out really well. It could potentially, was it $375 or maybe $385? I think I did $385. I'd have to look. You could almost cut back a couple more meals even on Sunday if you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, just because you have 400 people coming doesn't mean you need 400 meals. And I will tell whoever leads next year the same, if they have it the same place, the same thing. We made a mistake again with food for speaker sponsored dinner. Great barbecue. We did it last year with burrito bar, and we had, you know, and Jamie Curry took home like 38 burritos. We ordered 75 burritos, you know. This year we had way too much barbecue, and I couldn't take any home.
It was delicious, though.
I know, so good. We had a whole tray of mac and cheese.
Yeah.
We had baked potatoes for the vegetarians, and they barely ate them. We had a lot of leftovers as well, probably more leftovers from Friday night than we did Saturday or Sunday for sure.
Yeah.
So, but the staff at Angel City Brewery, they take care of us. We take care of them. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. The barbecue was good. But yeah, the meals, it's lessons learned. You know, you do this enough times, you learn the way to streamline these things. So
Right.
I'm 99% sure that we are under budget considerably, which is awesome. Which will go back to Foundation to help the next camp, you know. So I say that I shouldn't say 99% sure. I'm 75% sure. I haven't closed out the books yet. So
let's talk a little bit about that global community. You know, if WordCamp LA doesn't, LAX actually, there's a story there. If they don't use all of the money that sponsors have paid through both local and global sponsorship, then that goes back to fund other camps. Like,
it does. So Foundation subsidizes a piece of it. It depends on your camp size, how much money you think you can raise from local, and they will help you make up the difference. So how many tickets you're going to sell? So tickets are $40 for, you know, it can't be more than $20 a day. So right off the bat, you know, 400 tickets at $40 is $16,000, right? Is that right? Yeah, that's right.
Math.
Right. And then you figure what's the venue cost? That's, you know, anywhere between, let's say easy number, it's $10,000 a day. That's another $20,000.
Right.
So we're short. So you have 16,000, you have, you know, 20,000, where you're 4,000 short to begin with. So you need sponsors, right? And you get enough, then you have, you know, the space for sponsors and stuff. So you can do different levels. So the longer your camp has been around, the theory is the more you have procedures in place and traction with sponsors that you can raise money or sell tickets. So Foundation gives you less, technically. If you need more, they're there for you, but they don't want to promise you, you know, 10,000 if you really might only need to make the difference 3 to 4. If you don't need any of it, you don't need any of it. You know, I'm not sure. I think we probably used maybe. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I think promised us like 3 or 4 this year, but I don't know if we're going to use. I have to look at the budget sheets. So
Right.
but that's how that works.
If that is turned back over to Foundation, does that go to another camp in California, like the Riverside one that's just starting up, or does that go to Ahmedabad? You know,
I think it goes into a general fund for camps. I don't know exactly. I don't think it gets assigned. I don't think there. I can't imagine that Foundation segments states.
I seriously doubt it. It would be an accounting nightmare.
Just thought I'd ask because I didn't know the answer on that.
Yeah.
And then the other question is sponsors. Okay, the sponsors are a huge part of the community.
Huge.
Tell me a little bit about your sponsors at LA.
So sponsors help. Without sponsors, and this was, we did micro sponsorships this year, and if we didn't have sponsors at all, the tickets would be easy $100 to $125 each.
$250.
Right? You have to make it up.
Right.
You know that cost. So sponsors help subsidize ticket sales. You know, we've had a few. You know, the sponsors with deeper pockets are the hosting companies. You know, you have Media Temple, GoDaddy, Bluehost, SiteGround. So I'm thinking. So there was 5 in a row. There was 5 on one wall. So you know, then you get the smaller sponsors, and some camps have kind of been harder for smaller sponsors to afford the table. You know, because space becomes limited. Like for example, you know, Orange County, I know, in the past years had a very small area for sponsorships, so their tables were more expensive. You know, which is unfortunate. So the smaller shops or the smaller companies kind of get shut out. You know, but we had, you know, ServerPress was there again for us. We had, thinking who else was there that's on the smaller side?
Nathan
Tyler from Staging Pilot was there. But predominantly, you know, you have a lot of hosting companies, obviously. In the past,
was A2 there?
A2 was there. Well, A2
hosting, BoldGrid.
Right. Yeah. GoDaddy, Media Temple, which is interesting that they're both there.
I saw some SiteLock swag. I know they weren't there, but
yeah. So not Flywheel. I think Flywheel. So people also can send swag because some sponsors can't send people out, so they're allowed. They can go ahead and send stuff to the swag table, right? Which is nice, you know. So in theory, you could then double sell a table. If you know early enough they're not coming, you can then, you know, or you can work with a smaller company to get something. Or we also sold half tables shared, you know. But yeah, without sponsors, tickets would be a lot more expensive. It's a different type of conference.
Okay, and then I have a few more questions.
Okay.
That I know everybody wants to know the answer to.
Oh.
Because it's all about community.
Oh, no.
So one of the things we did this year was interview all the speakers to, you know, find out, to kind of connect them to the car theme, but also tell a little bit about them so people can have conversations with them. So you were not a speaker. You did the opening and closing remarks, but you did not have the stage, so you did not get interviewed.
I was supposed to be a speaker. I was supposed to do Get Options with Kyle, but Kyle, they had a baby, and I was traveling, so I didn't do it. I took myself off the schedule.
Yep. You did. So because of that, we have some questions for you.
Oh, no. Okay.
So what was your first car?
My first car, the first car I drove.
Both.
Why is it different?
Why? Parents' car versus my car.
No, that's not your car.
Oh, no, your first
car that's licensed in your name in the state of California or whatever state.
I had a 1967 Porsche. No, I'm joking. I had a 1985 VW Jetta, white 2-door with this roll down windows and a roll open sunroof. Loved that car.
Fancy.
Loved it.
Nice. Okay. And what's the fastest car you've driven?
Oh.
It's a go-kart, isn't
it? No. I took my Jetta over 100 miles an hour, but the fastest car I probably drove might have been an Acura. Could have been an old Acura, like a Integra back in the day.
Integras are fast. I had one.
Or a Supra. I mean, my friend had a Supra. Yeah, it'd be tough. I mean, I've driven a lot of different cars in the years. I like to go fast, obviously. You know, I mean, that's a good question. But I remember taking my car. I came back from Macworld, an old conference a long time ago, coming down the 5 freeway like at 2 in the morning. I had to get back to LA to go to class. I was in junior college, and I punched my car up to 110. Huge mistake. One mistake in that little car, 4-cylinder, small tires. I wouldn't be here, and it was dumb. But yeah, I was 20, so yeah.
Live and learn.
Live and learn.
And then your dream car now.
I'm a Porsche guy, 911. So funny story that is, I found one. My daughter's about to be 17. My Avalon versus your Avalon.
Yes.
So when she was born, she was about 6 months old. I found a 1967 Porsche 911 down in San Diego County area for like $3,000, and it needed some work, but it was $3K. It was yellow, the faded, burnt yellow kind of thing. And I told my wife, and my wife's owned up, always wanted a Porsche, and that's what I could afford back then. It's a $3K, and I could put some money into it. Project car, and she's like, "Go get it." Like, the fact you said go get it, I can't now be mad at her for not letting me go get it, but I can't justify it with an 8-month-old or 6-month-old baby girl. I didn't get it. So I've always liked old Porsches because I like the classic style. If I could go buy a 2000, I like the 60s and 70s, skip the 80s, most of them. Late
you have
90s.
Infinite money, Adam. What car would you buy? It's really not that complicated.
I'd buy a current Porsche, of course. There
you go.
Yeah. But so not an SUV, not the Panamera. I'd get a Porsche sports car hardtop, not convertible.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you for being our guest on WPblab and for exploring your past, your ghosts of Christmas past.
Right.
The cars past, and future. And we hope that you could get a Porsche sometime and be able to afford the insurance, more importantly, and the repairs. So, Adam, tell us a little bit about where people can find you on the internet.
So I'm on Twitter at Hey Adam Silver, and I'm not the NBA commissioner, by the way. So people keep tweeting me like I'm a commissioner. So Hey Adam Silver on Twitter, also Kitchen Sink WP on Twitter, and kitchensinkwp.com and conciergewp.com. That's conciergewp.com. So.
Nice. Okay, well, this has been Bridget and Jen, takeover of WPblab. If you like this episode, press the thumbs up. If you don't like it, press the thumbs up twice. Be sure to subscribe to WPwatercooler.com. Get the bell dinging so you get reminded. And you don't forget when we are live. Tomorrow is Friday. Friday is WP Water Cooler. We have other shows, WP Show and Tell, Community Connections with Jen and Bridget. Next week, we have a really great guest. Also, subscribe to our newsletter. Tell Jason Tucker, Bridget, Jen did a great job this week. Tweet him out. Say, hey, Jason Tucker, the girls did great. Also, did you share this episode with your friends on Twitter yet? Also, subscribe. Also, we love you. Thanks, Sharon Cheryl, for doing the notes. Thank you for all of the fun chat with David Various.
Is there a chat room?
Kevin Hoffman and Sherry and Cheryl and Adam Warner. Also, Adam Warner is totally interested in via Hangout, via Skype, via Zoom, talking to your meetup. If you're a meetup with low content, go ahead and hit him up on Twitter. He's with SiteLock. Also, the marketing team, including Jen and I, put out a whole thing about meetups with low content on make.wordpress.org/community. And that's it. Everybody have a good night. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.